DonInLondon, hello, and it's April 24th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect, never so. I actually feared a lot of my life, in a place of fear which drove me to have a brave face and utilise my ego more than my esteem. So these days I'm a bit calmer. I don't drink one day at a time. There are issues of later sobriety in the day, that is, how to get to bed tonight without a drink. And I went to a meeting of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, which is part of my life now, and the 12-step program which it offers as suggestions on how to make the best of what we have. So going to a meeting is an integral part of my living, and I actually spend less time going to meetings than I ever did drinking, which is quite a mission really. For 35 years drinking solidly, one way or another, to take the edge off and to improve my outlook, to make it joyful, or to find oblivion when life was just pretty blinking awful. So what keeps me going is AA, the fellowship, and it makes everything else possible. And if I keep it in the day, I'm in the moment of now. And a lot has been said on the media today about how to stand still and take in what is going on around us, rather than being in the rush to go to the next event that we might encounter, be it work or pleasure or something. It's looking forward too hard and not taking account of what is right in front of us. It's so often easy to look into our history for something to save us from this moment, or wish we were somewhere else. And these days I try to be where I am, here, right now, doing this video. This is my second attempt, by the way. Noise is off, and forgetfulness about setting the clock. Anyway, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't speak for it, but I speak about experience, strength and hope I gain from going to it and living the 12-step program. And I emphasise living the 12-step program because these suggestions have helped me understand how to experience life as it is. So there are 600 meetings or more in London. We're very lucky here. Plenty of choice, and at the beginning of every meeting a preamble is shared which really describes what AA is there to do. And it goes like this: Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So it's a fellowship with a very single-minded purpose, which is to keep the person sober. And I was just reading a little bit out of this pamphlet, the AA group, where it all begins, how a group functions and how to get started. It's a sort of start-up pamphlet for people who are involved in setting up a group. And one of the most important passages for me is at the bottom of page 6, which says, "Our membership ought to include all who suffer from alcoholism, hence we may refuse none who wish to recover." That means anybody with a drinking problem is welcome and wants to find sobriety. Nor ought AA membership ever depend upon money or conformity, so we are free to be who we are, and we need not pay anything for it. Any 2 or 3 alcoholics gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA group, provided that, as a group, they have no other affiliation. And that's the tradition 3, which is all about having a desire to keep sober one day at a time. And that's so it's not being affiliated to anything else, and not trying to be anything more than it is. A place to find how to keep sober one day at a time. And being an absolute fan of the program has helped me understand what I can and cannot do on a daily basis. So I'm very lucky to be a part of something which keeps me in the day, makes me useful and able to see and be able to love and be loved, and have something useful to do on a daily basis. And I also use books from AA to illustrate how we get a bit of spiritual sustenance, and as spiritual is the ability to cope in the moment, according to many people, which I can confirm I believe too. Then life can be a lot easier. It doesn't mean it's going to be good or bad. That's just as life affords and the experiences that we have. But Daily Reflections is a one-day page book, and in April it tends to emphasise step 4, which is about doing a fearless moral inventory of our history. What made us angry, resentful, how we utilised the 7 deadly sins basically, and how we had 7 virtues at our disposal if we ever got to use them. And most people are a mixture of all these things. Never perfect, just making progress on a daily basis. And for April 24th it says, learning to love ourselves. Alcoholism was a lonely business. Even though we were surrounded by people who loved us, we were trying to find emotional security either by dominating or being dependent upon others. We still vainly try to be secure by some unhealthy sort of domination or dependence. Life at the extremes really, rather than in the middle, where it's sort of interdependent. When I did my personal inventory, that's step 4, I found that I had unhealthy relationships with most people in my life, my friends and family for example. I always felt isolated and lonely. I drank to dull emotional pain. Sounds like me. It was through staying sober, having a good sponsor and working the 12 steps that I was able to build up my low self-esteem. First the 12 steps taught me to become my own best friend, and then when I was able to love myself, I could reach out and love others. And that is essential really, because until we have an understanding of who we are and that we could be loved and love ourselves, it sounds very selfish, but it's true. If we don't know how to look after ourselves and be our best friend, and having come through an addiction to a best friend called alcohol, and in fact it became my higher power. It had power over me, and I had no power over it. I'm on the right track, a day at a time. And as Bill sees it, this one, I just go through it linearly, and you can do as many pages as you like, and it also has an index at the back which refers to different steps and what the pages mean. But I'm just doing it in a linear fashion. And it says here, page 85, life is not a dead end. When a man or woman has a spiritual awakening, the most important meaning of it is that he now has become able to do, feel and believe that which he could not do before on his own unaided strength and resources alone. He has been granted a gift which amounts to a new state of consciousness and being, and that's simply being in the day and seeing life as is. He has been set on a path which tells him he is really going somewhere, that life is not a dead end, not something to be endured or mastered. In a very real sense, he has been transformed, because he has laid hold of a source of strength which he had hitherto denied himself. And, it is, I guess, it's a strength, a faith in human nature, or a higher power, or in God, or in good conscience. And whenever I use the word God, it simply means God is truth, God is love, God works through people. So, the manifestation is, where is the good in our living and being? And how do we actually access that from our own good conscience and listening to the good conscience of other people to make this spiritual connection, which is to truth and reality in the moment. We only have this moment, and if we're in it, it's timeless. And that's why life gets a bit speeded up in recovery. We're never able to stop sometimes, and we do need to. We need to stop, stare, smell the flowers, look at the scenery, appreciate the fact that we're in the family, in the community, in society again, and we have a fellowship which keeps us safe one day at a time. And the other book which I've just got hold of, I don't know how and if I can utilise it here on YouTube, but it's called Around the World with Emmett Fox. This is a book of daily readings by Emmett Fox, and a philosopher and also a staunch believer in his own higher power and how it helps and how religion helps people. But it doesn't mean you have to become a religious guru to understand it or be able to get something from it. And all the books I use have some meaning for me, and I like them because I can just dip in and out, like the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions and the big book of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, which is a collection of stories and steps and how to make life work just one day at a time. Anyway, as I always say at the end of these, if I can, the Serenity Prayer, which is an appeal to God or good conscience, depending on how you are. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, just for today.